Yeah.
I hope comics stay relevant in the future. I know it's kind of not what we're talking about right now.
No, I agree. I know that
I was just thinking about kids growing up. They like won't read comics. Not all of them.
I think
I don't know.
they're kind of evergreen because even kind of touching back on the Mortal Kombat thing, we've gotten to the point where the Mortal Kombat graphic novel is canon to the game.
Oh,
And people who read the comics know who's going to be in the game.
that's cool.
And so, like, they haven't done one yet for Mortal Kombat 11, but they did one for the gap between Mortal Kombat 9 and 10. And so the people who read the comics knew the story leading up to Mortal Kombat 10 and knew who was and wasn't going to be in the game. So, like, it's still transcending because you would think like something like a video game wouldn't utilize outdated technology, like not technology, mediums, but they actually embraced like comic books like later on. I mean, they did it earlier too, but the earlier stuff was just kind of auxiliary cash grab stuff. Like this was actually like to enhance like the world and the story and things. So somehow it just like kind of stays relevant somehow.
I feel like it's hard for kids to get into comics because there's no place to jump in. Like it's really hard for them to just be like, well, where do I start? You know,
Well,
comics.
there's no way they're going to get their hands on like unless they were like reissues of first runs.
Well, you could do Marvel Unlimited. I mean, you got a tablet or you got a phone, even or online computer. You can pull up everything ever, but newer
That's
stuff.
true.
Like
It's all
jumping
going to be
into
like an
comic
internet
shop
thing now.
I feel like if you go into a comic shop, and even there's been problems with Marvel in the last 7 years. Some people were complaining more that it was like they're trying to do diversity on purpose just to do diversity as like kind of we should do this because it's nice to do, as opposed to like writing good stories. And the Marvels had like a rather big slump with all that kind of stuff. But I feel like with that, it was more the fact that when kids would come to a comic book store, they would look for Captain America, but there was no Captain America. There was Falcon as Captain America. You know what I'm saying? And when they came for Thor, there was no Thor. It was
Jane Foster.
Jane Foster as Thor. So they weren't like coming in to get those comic books or to see the people that they just seen in these movies, but that's who was in the comics. And so they're like, wait a minute, this is not the same as what I was thinking, kind of deal.
That does suck, but a little bit of a counterpoint, and not to be like an ass about it, but like that's what it was like growing up for me always.
I mean,
So like not specifically in seeing a movie and then going to look for the thing, but like to go into a comic book store and be like, I'm looking for a superhero that I could grow up to be, and I look in the entire comic book store and there's not a single face that's mine.
well, I'm not saying it's
know,
like
like-
that kind of like they can't find someone that's me. I'm saying
I
that like
get you.
it's not the same characters as what they just saw in.
I get you. It wasn't
Like
the, yeah, it
Falcon
wasn't
was like someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
Captain America, like Thor was someone else.
But I-
Spider-Man was someone else.
Yeah,
It
but I
wasn't
feel
the
like
same.
It was always, I know maybe not to kids, but to me it was always made clear that the comic books and the movies were always like separate entities. Like they weren't on the same timelines or anything like that. So I don't know. I think it was kind of cool to like reinvent stuff, but
I mean, they have Riri now as like
Ironheart?
like Ironheart. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. And so like, and you can see how like they've been doing that for the last 5 to 7 years, I think. And they had like a slump pretty much the exact same time as that.
I do agree though that it would be much stronger for them to just create like very strong new characters that
Yes.
were representing than to like shoehorn them into these other things. But baby steps, I'm taking it. Like when they made the first like Korean Hulk, I was like, not the greatest thing, but I'm going to take it for right now.
Yes.
Until the next thing.
I was gonna say that's the same thing. They made Hulk Korean. That's what the fans at the time were like. Why are they doing this? Are they doing it just because of diversity instead of creating new characters?
I'll tell you what I've kind of learned in LA the last couple of years is specifically in YouTube. It's a really big trend for like YouTubers to be like, YouTube's trying to fuck me over, and they're using the term like the YouTube as like it's like a person. It's like a very large company. So there's probably literally like hundreds or maybe even hundreds of like perspectives on it within the company. So I would go as far to say like Marvel's probably the same way. There's probably a lot of different motivations. And so some of them might be cash grabs. Some of them might be like, this would be cool to do. Some might genuinely be trying to like work their way, like pull that seat up to the table. Because in like Hollywood and YouTube and film and music even, there's a lot of like fight for representation, both in race, like gender, like sexual orientation, all that stuff. A lot of it's genuine, but I'm not going to call them out now, but like we have a friend that's very close. That's a very like prominent like celebrity that is very big in like the LGBTQ community, but they kind of feign it because that's the way they can sustain their popularity. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's not my place to like out that. But at the same time, like if only like but that shows the diversity in the motivations. There's some people that are like genuinely like this. I wish I had this growing up, and then there's some people who are like, I could make a lot of money if I pretended, So it's like, it sucks, and there's no way for someone who isn't in it to like know, and so it kind of sucks. Like I don't know in Marvel like which characters were like, well, that would be a good fit. Someone genuinely thought that, whether it was or not.
Well, there's a lot of them that had great stories, and I mean, Miles Morales alone was a great arc, and Captain Marvel, going from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel is a great arc, and so I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in there. I was just saying that like. From when Vince was asking, if kids are going to be reading comics, the Marvels had a slump in the last 6 to 7 years, and that slump is coincident with all of their characters not being the characters that were in the movies. Like the kids were like, "Oh, I'm going to show up to see Iron Man. It's not Iron Man. I'm going to show up to see this."
They get to the comic store, and what's hot is not the thing they just saw in the movie.
I guess another thing they could start doing though is start adapting some of those things to movies, because when they did Into the Spider-Verse. I think that really brought Miles Morales to like the mainstream. When we were in Orlando, we talked a long time actually, like into the wee hours of the night with Roberto Blake about how he was like, I finally have my Spider-Man. Like he was like growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in. Like we liked Spider-Man when he was in the suit, but we couldn't identify when he was Peter Parker. Now we have Miles, and Miles is like both Spider-Man and his own thing. But like now kids can like go see Into Spider-Verse and be like, whether you're black, white, or anything else, you see Miles like he's just a cool character. Yeah. And so then you can go like to the comic book store and see it. So it might be to mix of both things. If there's really good characters in the comic books, maybe they just need to start making those movies. Because I think Ms. Marvel's confirmed in the MCU at some point. I don't necessarily know if it's a solo movie, but they confirmed like for the series.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to be in her own movie.
I don't think it's going to be his own movie, but I think they said that she's going to be in the MCU.
Yeah, they've talked about stuff like that for a while.
So like things like that might be a good like medium. Like it comes from all directions. Like everyone needs to work together on this. Like new characters need to be made that are really strong. Like characters that are in comics should go to movies. Like maybe the comics need to make things that are in the movies. Like it's the mix of things.
What are you laughing at?
I'm so sorry. I opened Instagram, and the first thing I saw was Mark Hamill himself, his Instagram. I had made the joke about Palpatine's laugh at the end being Joker. He just posted a picture of Joker with his lightsaber.
Nice.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Hey, if you like this clip and want to watch the rest of the podcast, go ahead and click on the top video there. But it'd be awesome also if you could give us a like if you like this stuff, and heck, if you didn't like it, go ahead and give us a down. That's cool. I mean, it's whatever, whatever.